about raising your hand, you probably think about a classroom setting. In this classroom, students raise their hands to indicate that they have either a question or a comment, and the teacher calls on them accordingly. This is standard procedure. It may not seem like a daunting task, but as a previous public school student, I can tell you probably think about a classroom setting. In this classroom, students raise their hands to indicate that they have either a question or a comment, and the teacher calls on them accordingly. This is standard procedure. It may not seem like a daunting task, but as a previous public school student, I can tell you that it is. It can be an extremely anxious task that can imbue you with fear as you become self-conscious of the attention that is now focused on you. I am Abby Hebert, and I am currently a senior at UA who now has no qualms about raising her hand in any setting, classroom included. I entered Ursuline Academy 4 years ago as an incoming freshman. Having come from public school and being conscious of the fact that I was a new kid, I got up very early on my first day of high school, donned my plaid skirt, took a shower, blow-dried my hair, applied some makeup, and slipped on a pair of professional brown leather flats. I barely knew anyone at UA, so I had to make sure that I made an excellent first impression. I remember walking through the student entrance door and setting my eyes on one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. Girls were wearing their uniforms like I was, but they had their hair in messy buns on the top of their heads, or pulled neatly into a ponytail, and none of them were wearing any makeup at all. They were completely themselves, and they knew that the importance of a day was not measured by how long it took you to get ready in the morning, but rather how many hours you truly spent in your own skin. Now in the morning, I do not raise my hand to apply mascara to my eyelashes, but instead raise my hand to retrieve a cross from a hook in my room and wear it around my neck the entire day. After I had experienced the initial shock of seeing a hallway full of girls who were too busy studying and laughing to look at themselves in mirrors, I entered my first class. Of course, the girls who entered UA since 7th grade welcomed me with open arms, because as we all know, Ursuline girls are in fact some of the nicest and most genuine people on the face of this earth. When the lesson started and my teacher stood up at the front of the room, we didn't waste any time. Everyone around me was shooting their hands up in rapid fire. I was so startled that this was common practice, and I quickly learned that I should do the same. I realized that these girls were at school to learn and to grow. They were not there to get any silly self-conscious thoughts, and with time, I learned that I, too, could not have these thoughts during the school day as well. After all, I was at school to learn, wasn't I? Then in sophomore year, I decided to find a new outlet for the volunteer work that is required of me as an Ursuline student. I did some research and found a Head Start program for low-income families in Framingham, and I can truly say that I have had some of the best experiences of my life working with the 4-year-olds in the preschool section of the after-school program. The majority of the students speak both Spanish and English, if not just Spanish, and many of them have various foster parents or live in shelters with their families. After only a few short visits, I learned that the young children at the Head Start program could learn far less from me than I could from them. After I surrendered to their natural goodness and selfless ways, I raised my figurative hand to them, and they pulled me out of the selfish abyss that I was prone to enter. Because I raised my hand to them, I now know that volunteer work is not simply a requirement, but a moral obligation. Not a hassle, but a joy. 2 years then flew by, and I was suddenly a senior. I had always had an interest in politics, so I naturally searched for an outlet to debate and discuss. My friend, Tori Sikowicz, also had the same interest, so we decided earlier this year, in September, to create the first Model United Nations Club at UA. After we pleaded our case to Mrs. Keeney, our principal, we set about organizing and planning our first conference with our advisor, Mr. Stewart. After months of coordinating and researching, we attended our first conference at the Boston Park Plaza on February 4th through 6th. Although we were nervous, we worked together with countless American and international students to form resolutions to the problems that the actual United Nations faces today. Being completely new to this organization, raising our hands was challenging at times, but we still found it within ourselves to raise our hands and speak in front of hundreds of people to present our thoughts on various global issues. Reflecting on my career at Ursuline, I now realize that I can do many things that I never thought I could do, like writing a solid research paper in a week or simply finding the derivative of a complicated trig equation. But most importantly, I have learned to raise my hand in many different settings. Now that I have acquired this skill, I will continue to employ it not only in college, but for the rest of my life. I will raise my hand against injustice, and I will raise my hand to help others who have fallen. Most importantly, however, I will raise my hand to my forehead, my heart, my left shoulder, and my right shoulder to pray for the mission of all people, especially Ursuline girls. Because after all, we are strong, we are self-assured, we will continue to raise our hands, and we are Ursuline girls. Thank you.